Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Will with Schedulefly, and I'm excited today to have Erin Barfield on the phone. She's down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and she manages the Chuck's Fish and the Five Bar there. Those are sister restaurants. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while, or if you've read our second Restaurant Owners Uncorked book, you've heard from Cris Eddings, and he's one of the owners there. And I asked Cris for anybody on his team that is really good at what they do and loves what they do and might enjoy talking about it. And he quickly pointed me to Erin. So, Erin, thank you for taking the time to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to do it. I've been a fan and listened to quite a few podcasts. Of course, Cris is as well,
Oh, that's cool. Good deal. Oh, I'm glad you have been. You're getting, this may be, we're getting close to 100 episodes here. This may be actually the 100th episode, but
that's cool.
We're nearing it. It's been a lot of fun. So, okay, so you're down there in Tuscaloosa. And we were just talking before we started recording. We're here at homecoming week at Alabama. You've got this incredible football team, so it must be a really busy time of year. So I appreciate you taking the time to do this for sure. That's really nice of you.
Absolutely.
So, okay, I always like to get started with asking, how and when did you get started in hospitality?
Yeah, so I actually have a degree from Alabama in hotel restaurant management. I decided on that degree because I wanted to travel, sort of why I wanted to take that career path. Moved here, that would have been in 2006 that I started attending school at Alabama, and I got in the restaurant business as soon as I moved up here as a host at the Applebee's in the mall. I worked there for a few years and traveled, and so I guess my main reason for getting into it was to travel to begin with. I quickly changed my priorities, if you will. But I love Tuscaloosa, and Tuscaloosa has kept me in it also. Can elaborate on that, I guess, a little bit.
So, I mean, that's cool. Well, I mean, how long have you been over there with the folks at Chuck's Fish and Five Bar?
Yeah, so I've been with them since October 2012, so I'm coming up on 6 years with them. Yeah, and I had managed a few restaurants in downtown Tuscaloosa before I got on with them, and I sort of took a break from managing at that point, and I went to serving with Chuck's for a year, and I did that, and I was glad I took a little bit of a break from management, and then I got back into it at Chuck's, and sort of started working my way up as front of house, and moved to GM. And then I actually got pregnant, and so I started doing some operation stuff with Chuck's. It's a great thing about Chris and Charles is they have always been willing to work with me and my priorities in my personal life as well as my professional life. So I started doing operations, and then Charles approached me about a year and a half ago with trying to take on Five as well and getting some systems in place there, and so that was quite a challenge, but it's been a great learning experience for me, that's for sure. So.
That's awesome. What kind of systems did you put in place over there?
It comes to everything from daily cleaning to the way that the sections are assigned to, making sure the bartenders are pouring the correct amount of alcohol into a cocktail. Just checks and balances to try to make sure that everybody does what they're supposed to do with as much or as little overall management, that they can look at a list and know that that's what they have to do and that this is the amount of time they have to get it done in, and a manager follows up, but try to not be a micromanager, if you will.
Yeah, it's an interesting balance in hospitality of sort of art and science. I mean, there's the art of communicating with people, making people feel welcome, making your guests feel welcome, making them happy to be there, and then the science of just procedures and processes like that, like so that you're not, pouring too much liquor and costing the business a lot of money and
right.
So on and so forth. That's it's a big balance with that. So, well, let me ask you this. So you've been doing it a while. You went to school for this. I mean, what is it that you love about hospitality the most?
Yeah, I think it comes down to people. I mean, you have to be a people person in this business, whether it's the guests or your employees. They are what keep me going for sure. Seeing them sort of hit their own personal goals or professional. With Chuck's, I've been there a while, seeing the same employees. We also have a great retention of previous employees, and so I've seen guy go from the dish, a porter in the dish room to now he's an assistant manager, and so sort of see some career progression for people, and so that keeps me in it. And then just meeting people as you go. Tuscaloosa has had a boom with football, and so it brings a lot of people to town that previously didn't. So businesses as well as academics and things like that. So.
Gotcha. What about challenges? What's the toughest part about what you do?
I would say the balance of both, of course, and then having a personal life and a toddler and a husband and all that. It gets challenging, but I think the key is to have a good support team. I've got a great husband, but I also have a great management team at Chuck's. I have a great management team at Five. It's taken me a little while of building both of those, but they are how I can do both. Like, people always ask me, how do you do both restaurants? Well, I just have good people in the right spots, and that's always a puzzle that's never solved, really.
Yeah.
But currently we're looking pretty good.
It's like you said, and you can't micromanage. That's a really important part of this, I think, is hiring good people, teaching them, and then letting them go, isn't it? I mean, when you've got two places like that and you're in charge of two places like that, there's got to be the tendency to just want to make sure everything's going well. But I guess you learn to trust people, and that can be freeing when you have the right people in place, huh?
Yeah, always scrutinizing that. You hate to, but you have to be a lot of attention to detail on what people are doing. Yes, I don't micromanage them, but I try to stay involved in what they're doing on a weekly basis through manager meetings, and then sort of one-on-ones that I have with most managers on my team, trying to just, what you do it every week, you have a common thread. And so those tools let me not be a micromanager in the actual process, but still stay very involved and make sure that they're making the correct decisions, if you will. But a mistake is fine,
They happen, that's right, as long as we learn from them.
Of course, exactly.
Well, what about, okay, so tell me about the concepts, or tell me, I know, but tell our audience, the Chuck's Fish and Five Bar, two different concepts. So give us a lowdown on both those.
Sure. So Chuck's, we all started with a restaurant down in Destin called Harbor Docks that's going on 40 years. And they started as a wholesale seafood market. So our owner, Charles Morgan, started that and, ran that for quite a few years. And then Chuck's opened in 2006 in downtown Tuscaloosa. It was sort of the first one that branched out from Destin. So with the wholesale seafood market, that is a huge part of what we do. We can tell you when the fish that we serve was caught, the boat was caught on, who caught it. Hasn't been out of the water for very long. If you start to research seafood and fish and things like that, you'll soon see that a lot of seafood is mislabeled in the United States, and we can always guarantee that it is not tilapia that you maybe think that is snapper, and unfortunately that happens a lot of times.
Oh, really? Why is it mislabeled so much? What's behind that?
They have. I'm not all the way educated on exactly how that happens, but I know there's truth in menu laws that people just don't have to follow. There's nobody that goes in and regulates that as a restaurant. The guest has a right to know where the fish was caught, so a guest can walk in and say, where was this fish caught, the origin of the species, if you will, but doesn't have to necessarily be printed on the menu. So Charles has told me before, and he's actually has this awesome video that's on one of our on our Chuck's Fish website, but I mean, they estimate 90% of the red snapper sold in the U.S. is not really snapper.
Really?
90%. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And they mislabel fish from China or whatever. It's a whole conversation you can really get into, but it's important to know where your food comes from, and something that Charles has been involved in since before it was cool, and has always been a priority for us. So that's a big part of Chuck's. We've got a wood grill, so all of our steaks are cooked over wood. We also have a pizza wood oven at Chuck's. Chuck's is crazy because it has such an extensive menu. We go seafood, steaks, pizza, of course, all your appetizers, salads. Then we also have a full-blown sushi bar. And a lot of people know Chuck's for the sushi. So we essentially have two restaurants in one and make those two coordinate together most of the time.
Goodness.
So the sushi connection came from Chris's mother. I know he's talked about her, but they had restaurants in Tokyo growing up, and or as a family, and him growing up, and she brought the sushi trade to Harbor Docks, and her and Charles started working together a long time ago. So Harbor Docks also has sushi. So
Gotcha. And how many Chuck's locations are there now?
There are 3 right now, and we're working on Chuck's Athens, Georgia right now.
Cool.
So end of the year, beginning of the year. So it's getting there.
Are they all in college towns?
Birmingham.
Okay.
Mobile. So not really.
Okay.
Mobile and Birmingham. I mean, they have colleges, but not like Tuscaloosa and Athens are college towns. So.
Yeah. Okay. So then that's a wide variety there, and then it's a little bit different approach at 5, right?
Yeah, it's completely different because 5 is keep it simple, So 5's concept is we have 5 appetizers, 5 entrees at dinner or brunch items during brunch or lunch, then 5 cocktails, beer, wine, red and white, some variants there, but 5 main items that we try to execute as well as possible every single time. So it's repetitive, but you have to be consistent in that concept. I joked with Chris and Charles recently. I said, Chuck's is big and there's all these things. But to me, 5 is more of a challenge to run because somebody comes in and they get our cheeseburger. It's got to be the same every single time. And with a restaurant like Chuck's with that big of a menu, odds are people aren't going to get the same thing. And so it's a challenge. It's a good challenge because consistency is key in this business as well. But it makes for interesting 2 different dynamics.
Yeah. That's a lot to juggle, I would imagine. Kind of toggling between the 2 of those, and you just have to have a slightly different approach to both. But well, that's cool. Okay, so then, and how many locations of 5 do y'all have now?
5, we've got Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Mobile, and Athens as well. So 4 5s.
4 5s. Okay, got it. And then soon to be a 4th Chuck. So, and then do we still have the food truck?
Still have the food truck. Yeah, we're doing that. We do it every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's called American Lunch, and we go out to 3 different locations in the community and give us soup and tea or water during the lunch time. We try to. Right now, we're doing Salvation Army. We do a drop off there, and we do another local apartment through Presbyterian Church. Then we just do our downtown area on Friday. So yeah, that's great and consistent. And then we're working on something I'm sort of in charge of is the Thanksgiving feast that we do every year on Thanksgiving Day. So this is something Charles also started, but we are open to the public, and we do a Thanksgiving meal, traditional, but it is no charge to anybody or to anyone who wants to come. We partner with a local charity, so we're actually partnering with Habitat for Humanity this year. This is the 2nd year we've partnered with them, and so again, we don't charge for anybody who comes in the door, but donations are accepted from those who want to make them, but they aren't solicited. So the point of the whole deal is just to try to bring the community together, and then sort of support the community that supports us, so it's all Charles started feast at Harbor Docks years ago as well, so we've continued the tradition here and our other locations. We do that in Birmingham, Athens, and Mobile as well.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing. I'm glad. I wanted to ask. It is cool. I just think it's great. I love that in the truck. I mean, it's just really cool what y'all are doing. Clearly, they're big on being a part of the community and giving to the community. And what have you learned from Charles and Cris in your years there?
I mean, I think I just kind of said it, but it's take care of the community that takes care of you. It's take care of the people that take care of you, the guests, the employees. You sort of have to have a self-sacrificing heart, and you just want to better them, because at the end of the day, if they're good, I'm good. I say that a lot. If you're good, I'm good, because it's just how it is. But they let me, I've always felt that way. They let me do that. When I worked at other restaurants where I wasn't able to make decisions with that same mindset, and they had that mindset when I walked in the door, and that's when I knew that I was at the right place to be a manager again.
Having that kind of autonomy to make those decisions without,
absolutely. So it's awesome to have owners and bosses that allow you to do that. And they let me make mistakes and have been understanding with anything like that. And so I trickled that down to the people that are under me. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, that's a wonderful way to do it. People really value having autonomy and purpose, and you all clearly have that. It's part of the culture there. What else is part of the culture? What is it? Is it a family sort of family environment there, or like what's the? Yeah, I mean, what is it that it attracts people to want to be a part of the team there? Do you think?
I think we both restaurants have been blessed to have a good reputation and solid reputation, and so people tend to want to work at either location. It's funny to me having doing both that they're right around the corner from each other, but a lot of times we do not get the same applicants. So I get a lot younger, more college kids at 5, and then sometimes more older career servers at Chuck's. And so I think that's interesting how people can feel those two different energies. But Chuck's is just more, it's just serious. I mean, we have a lot of fun, but you have to really be an experienced server. Again, you have 2 restaurants in one. It's huge. It's a very large building. So you have to have people who want to challenge themselves to something more than just your normal chain restaurant, if you will. 5 being so simple, you got to fit the part. You have to sort of a little more lively, active place. There's all the chandeliers and lights, and so it's just got an energy to it that the staff has to also, emulate, or it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 2 crews are just families. I mean, everybody's friends. Chuck's, we've had people working there for a long time. Couple people who have been there since the beginning, some that have been there for 10 years, and then one of our sushi chefs, he started at Harbor Dock, so he's been with us longer than Chuck's has been open. So those people help keep that family going and also help regulate the new people coming in too. So less work for the manager, if you will.
Yeah, it's sort of self-police. Yeah.
Yeah, veteran staff is very important to keep in the quality.
Has that changed over the years? Is it? I mean, do you or is it harder to keep people these days? I hear that a lot. Depends on where you are in the country, I think sometimes. But
yeah, I mean, we go through a rotation typically in May. We have people graduate, or even if they're not in school, May seems to be the time that people tend to go, leave Tuscaloosa and maybe try a new venture. We just went through that at Chuck's. We lost quite a few veteran servers, and that's been hard to rebuild from, and we're still rebuilding. And I mean, it is hard to find good people, but I do think they're out there. I mean, I'm not one of those that's like, there's no good workers out there anymore, because I'm surprised almost every day at, an employee does something that, we may have been harping on them to do or asking, and then they do it on their own accord. Then that's a win. So, it's hard, but I don't know if it's any harder than it used to be. You just got to keep them off their phones. No phones and no watch.
Gotta keep them off their phones. Yes, I hear you.
But that's one of Charles's rules: is no phones. But it's almost impossible nowadays because that you have an Apple Watch or a phone, and it's just part of what everybody does. So it is keep them off their phones, but it's keep them off their phones when they should be doing something else and not, sneaking around texting. So policing the phones.
Yeah, well, there's always something else they could probably be doing than doing that. That's for sure. That's tough, though. I mean, that's just they're just so ubiquitous now, and kids growing up these days have them, and they just are used to having them 24/7. But one more thing to manage, huh? Well, this is cool. Well, listen, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this, Erin.
Yeah.
I love your personality. You clearly love what you do, and you're fun to talk to, and I'm sure a lot of fun to work for. And I just admire your group. I admire. I really loved talking to Cris and was kind of blown away by, the things you all do in your community. It's just it's very unique. It's very refreshing and inspiring. And I'm sure you are.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, totally, 100%. I know I can understand why you enjoy being a part of that kind of organization. So, tell him I said, hey, if you talk to him, and thank you very much for taking the time to do this. We're stoked to serve y'all. We love serving just cool, well-run, fun, unique places, and y'all certainly fit the bill there. So we appreciate.
Well, we
the
love it.
business.
Y'all do your part in the process. So schedule fly's a lifesaver. I send out a lot of messages, and I'm like, update your availability, and we're good.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, I appreciate you saying that. That's nice of you. I'm
Yeah.
glad. We're glad. We're happy to have that opportunity, and I'll let you roll. But anytime you need anything, let me know, and we'll
Yes,
talk
sir.
again soon. And have a good one.
You too, Will. Thank you.
All right. Take care.